Hi friends, this is Mika from Race Street Coffee, and today we're going to be talking about how to make coffee with a Chemex coffee maker. Fun fact, this coffee maker has been around for a long time. I would say it's one of the classics of home coffee making. It's actually made some cameos in Friends, Interstellar. It's actually in the Modern Museum of Art in New York. It's been around since the 40s, and I'm going to show you how to use it today. It's pretty easy. You're going to need a couple things. You'll need a timer, you'll need a filter for your Chemex, you'll need a scale, and then you'll need a kettle, probably a gooseneck kettle. That'll make things easier, like the one I have behind me. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do, the ratio that we're going to use today is a 16:1 ratio, like we do with a lot of our other coffee brewers. So that means we're going to do 25 grams of coffee, 400 grams of water total. This is going to make enough for about one person, so if you want to make more, you can double the recipe, triple it, whatever you want to do. So first thing we're going to do, as usual, is pre-wet our filter and preheat our brewer. So the Chemex filter is actually a big square. So when it comes in the box, it's folded up like this. So you want to grab one of the sides, open it up, so you've got a little pocket here with 3 sides on one side and then one side on the other. And the way I usually do this is I put all of the folded sides in the spout of the brewer, just like this. And I'm gonna grab my kettle, and I just want to heat up this filter, get it wet, rinse out that paper taste. Now once I've done that, I'm going to dump out that water. And we're ready to brew. So I'm just going to set it on my scale. And I want to tare my scale. Then I'm going to get my coffee. Today we're using Germa Achetu, which is one of our single origins right now. It's from Bolivia. It's one of our favorites. And I just ground it right before we started this video. You want to make sure you grind fresh every time. So we're going to add 25 grams in, and I want to flatten this out so that all of the coffee is making a nice flat bed in here. And then before I start pouring, I'm going to talk about what I do first. Whenever we pour with a pour over, we like to make little spiral motions. So I'm going to start in the center. If this is the top of the coffee maker, I'm going to start in the center, just make a little spiral out. And as I do that, I also want to make sure that I'm not going up and down with the kettle, that I'm just keeping it nice and even and consistent. So now that we've got that, I'm going to tare the scale. So it's zeroed out again. And we're ready to pour. And as soon as I start pouring, I'm going to hit start on my timer. So here we go. Ready and go. And the first thing I'm going to do is a bloom. So I'm going to add 50 grams of water, and we're just going to let it sit. As I've mentioned in other videos, the bloom allows us to kind of release some of the carbon dioxide that was created when you roast the coffee. And we're going to do that for about 30 seconds. So now we're almost at 30, and we're going to keep pouring. So I was at 50 grams for the bloom. Now I'm going to work my way up to 250 grams. Doing one first pour. So I'm going to keep my eye on the scale. I'm getting close to 250, so I'm going to slow down. And I'm at 250, so I'm just going to stop and let this drain for a little bit. Sometimes what I like to do with a pour over is I'll give it a little swirl to knock the grounds down so that they're not sticking to the sides of the brewer. So we're going to let it drain a little bit, probably about 30 seconds. So we're at 1:15 right now. When we get to 1:30, I'm going to add the rest of my water and get up to 400 grams. All right, almost at 1:30, and let's add the rest. Again, doing spiral motions, starting in the center and then out, and then working my way back in. We're almost at 400, so I'm going to slow down and just pour in the center. All right, right at 400. And as I said, I like to give it a little swirl to knock the grounds off the sides. So I'm just going to do 2 swirls and set it back down on the scale. And that's all it really takes. Sometimes with the Chemex, you're going to have this weird thing happen where the paper filter is going to stick to the sides and create kind of a vacuum where it doesn't want to drain. If this is happening, you'll know because you'll see these bubbles start to bubble out of the side. It's not happening right now, but if that happens to you, you can just pick up the filter a little bit to kind of break that seal. Or what I'll do sometimes is I'll just stick a chopstick in the side of the brewer before I start brewing, before I zero out the scale, because that'll just prevent it from sticking to the sides completely and allow a place for air to escape. But we're just going to let this drain. It's almost done. And then we'll enjoy it. This should take about 4 minutes for 1 cup at most. If you're taking more than that, you're probably grinding too fine. We want to use a medium grind on this, so it's going to be finer than your French press coffee maker, but it'll probably be a little bit coarser than you would use for an AeroPress or even a V60 or Kalita, just because the paper filter on the Chemex is a little bit thicker. But like everything, coffee is about personal taste, so if you do it and you don't like how it turns out, just try playing with your grind size a little bit. That's probably the first thing that I would change. And we are almost done. And something that I like to check when I'm done brewing is if I have a flat bed at the bottom. That's always a good indicator of whether you had a really consistent brew. If when you're done brewing, all of the grounds are sticking up on the sides, that maybe means some weirdness happened. So for me, there's nothing more exciting than seeing a really nice flat bed of coffee grounds at the end of my brew. But we are done, and that was right under 4 minutes. So that's really what you want to shoot for. If you get more than 4 minutes, then that's probably too much. So we're going to try that. And when you're ready to serve it, you just take the filter out, set the grounds aside, and the nice thing about this is it's a built-in serving container. It looks really nice on a table, really nice for impressing your friends. But this is just enough for me. So we're gonna pour it, give it a taste when it cools down.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed that video. As always, if you ever have questions, we're excited to discuss. Come by the shop sometime and say hello. Thanks.